everyone, it's Amy. Welcome back to my channel. Today, what we're going to do is I obviously have no makeup on my face right now. So I am going to put on my makeup and chat and talk a little bit about how my love for makeup has evolved over the years and just tell you a little bit more about me and my relationship with makeup. So I thought that might be a fun thing to do. So first thing I'm going to do is put my hair back a little bit because I don't want makeup in my hair. I'm going to just jump right in. Everything I'm going to use today is going to be from the drugstore. Most everything I use is under $10. One or two things are a little bit over that, like $11, $12. The most expensive thing is the palette that I'm going to be using for eyeshadow, and that one was $19.99. So, but the thing I'm going to start with is not drugstore, such that I should start off with that and let you know. It is my Bobbi Brown. It is a vitamin enriched face base that I use. And I just like it because it really gives you that nice little base for your makeup. It's like kind of like a yellow, very thick cream. Smells amazing, like very, very citrusy. And I just kind of warm it up in my hands. I will say it smells a little bit, now that I smell it, it smells a little bit like Pledge, but a much more pleasant smelling Pledge. Okay, so that's in. I already have sunscreen on a little bit. I'm using the Color Science Glow sunscreen, some mineral sunscreen, and then I have some of that Color Science 3-in-1 that I mentioned in my last video under my eyes. This is an eye cream, kind of a primer for concealer. So the foundation that I use is so good. It's not Armani level good because the smell I don't love, and it's a little bit more full coverage than that one. However, it is a really nice foundation, and it is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus, and they have two finishes on this foundation. They have a dewy, and they also have a matte, and I have the dewy. I don't really like a matte finish for a 50-year-old woman. My advice is, unless you have like the oiliest of oily skin, matte finish is just going to age you. So I have it in two shades. I got it in the Nude Ivory, which is a neutral for light skin, and then I also have it in the soft beige, which is soft, light to medium for warmer tones. I like it. I like the light to medium for when I actually have a little bit more self tanner on, because my skin does warm up when I put self tanner on. And I did get two of them because they're $6.99 at CVS, and the day I bought my foundation, it was buy one get 50% off. So I figured, well, you know what, I'm just gonna get the other one for $3.50 and be ready for what I need for when the summer comes around and I have a little bit more tanner on my face. So first thing you'll notice is it has this Petal, which is a really nice application method. I think I like just to put it on the back of my hand. So I just put it in the back of my hand. It's very runny, I find, but the finish is nice. So I just take that Petal and I put it on the back of my hand like that. And what I do is I use my, there's a brush I have that I like to use for foundation. It is the Sigma, it's a flat top Kabuki F80. That's what I use. So I just dab it in like that and just kind of bounce it right into the skin. The other thing I don't love about this foundation, other than the fact that it's like really full coverage, is it literally smells like paint. I mean, it is so heavily fragranced, and not in a good way, but it does dissipate after a while. So you can see, it's got a really nice finish to it. I like it to bring it down the neck just so that there's no line of demarcation there. And then I take what I have left and I use it on the forehead. Sometimes I'll swirl the brush a little bit just to kind of get a nice finish. I put a little bit under the eyes, but I am going to hit that area with concealer a little bit later on. And then once I'm done with the brush, just to really like smooth everything out, I like to use a sponge, and this is called the Stands Out. Here's the packaging for it. Yeah, Stands Out. I just got this from Amazon. It's like $20. And I've used a lot of them. I've used a Beauty Blender. There's one from L'Oreal that I really like. That's a nice sponge. But this one I like. It's like almost like a memory foam from a mattress. It's just a really nice sponge that I enjoy. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of spritzing it with some Spray All Day Rose spray, which is supposed to be hydrating. Just to kind of smooth, pat it in, go down the neck. Get in those little, like I always have trouble like right there in the nose. Okay. Next up, a little bit of bronzer. I'm going to use the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer with another Sigma brush. It's the Chisel and Trim Contour F77, and it's a very thin brush, very dense bristles on that brush and flat, as you can see. It's just a nice brush for getting like right under here, really defining those cheekbones. See that? Doing that. And then I put some here. Find that jawline, kind of carve that out a little bit. And then I put some up here just to minimize hairline as much as possible. There. Then I take a brush which is not Drugstore. It is my Chanel brush, my Chanel bronzer brush. It's just a really good one and I like it. And I just kind of buff that out a little bit. Up here. So there's no harsh lines. I was going to say one tip I have for makeup. It's just blend. Because you see so many people that just don't blend. And it just does not look good. So then I just bring it down and do a little bit with the blending brush, just kind of over the nose and on the cheeks, just to give me a little bit more color. And we'll move on to blush. So, there is a YouTuber, and he's fabulous. He's one of my favorite people in the world. I watch him all the time, and he's just, I don't know him personally, but his kindness and just the gentleness of his spirit just comes through on his videos, and I love watching him. His videos are all very quick little videos. He does a lot of tips. His name is Goss. I am going to link his channel below. I think if you watch him like I do, you'll get some good tips from him. He just came out with a new lip line. He's done a lot of neutrals for lip liners, glosses, and lipsticks. And I have some coming soon, and I'm so excited to see it because I just love what he does. He also has a brush line that's amazing. So where I'm going with that story, and I'm using the Milani blush. See that? It is the Petal Paradise, which is a really nice peachy pink. One of the tips I picked up from Wayne early on when I was doing makeup, watching YouTubers, was that he would, he said, if you want to get like a real pretty pop of color on your cheeks. A good application method, I'm using my, by the way, I'm using my MAC 129 blush brush. You can see I need to clean it. Is to pretend you have sunglasses on, and then take your brush and swirl it on your face and pretend like you are applying it like you have your sunglasses on. So I just go over and I just hit that apple of that cheek when I do that. And it just really kind of gives you that real juicy kind of pink cheek. So you just kind of avoid that eye area, but as you go in circles, you're just going to skim over your cheek. As you can see, it just kind of gave me a really nice blush there. So let's do that on the other side. I'll speed this up so you don't have to suffer through me doing this twice. And there are other ways of doing blush, but this is one of my favorites. And I love Wayne. Okay. A little bit of blush. Move it on to eyes. I'm going to use my Sigma E35, which is a blending brush. It's very loose bristles, very large. You can see it's not. And I'm going to put on the shade Weekender just all over the lid. That shade's Weekender. It's kind of like a matte ivory. Just to kind of give me a little base to work from. And then I like to use the Real Techniques eye crease brush. Again, not expensive brushes. I'm going to use the shade Boozy Brunch, which is kind of like a muted, corally, pinky matte shade, and just stick that into the crease. Oh, so how did I get started on makeup? I said I was going to talk about that, didn't I? Just real quick, you know, I loved it. I was fascinated by it. As a child, I convinced my mom when I was in 6th or 7th grade that I should be allowed to start wearing makeup, even though she was staunchly against it. And the reason was because I was in my brother's wedding, and I thought, you know, as a junior bridesmaid, every junior bridesmaid should be allowed to use copious amounts of blue eyeliner and purple eyeshadow. So that's when I got my start. And then I never looked back. I just loved makeup ever since then. I increased my skill at it over time. Obviously, 8th grade is nobody's shining moment when it comes to makeup. But I was in my late 20s, actually started modeling. I was recruited by a modeling agency to do work as a mom model, and did some shoots. Was on, you know, did some campaigns for Little Tykes. I did some campaigns for Office Max. You can see one of my pictures there. And then I also did Graco strollers. I was on all the hang tags for a lot of their strollers for a long time. I remember very clearly the day we shot that one, and that was April 20th, the day Columbine happened, which was awful. And it was so cold that day. And I was, next thing I'm gonna use is the shade Offline, which is just a little bit more intense and a little pinker. It was really cold, and I kept running back to my car because I was super concerned about what was happening in Columbine, and also cold, because I had a sleeveless shirt on, and I was walking down the street like it was summer out. They wanted mom in like shorts and a short sleeve shirt or a sleeveless shirt to be on these hang tags for Graco, and there I was. Okay, so now I'm going to blend. I'm going to use that same brush that I use from Sigma, the E35 blending brush, just to blend that out. I find that that tends to be a big secret, as I mentioned, to doing well with makeup is to blend, blend, blend. Okay. I'm going to add one more shade in to the crease, just to, on the outer edges, just to kind of intensify that a little bit. And to do so, I'm going to use my mate to this Real Techniques brush. It came in a set. It came with this one, and it came with this one. And I love these both. I think they were like $9.99, so they're really great brushes. The color I'm going to use is called Little Spoon, and it is this one right here. Kind of a little plummier. Does anybody else have issues with red dye in shadows or liners? I cannot, for whatever reason, wear any type of really red-based dyes in terms of eyeshadow or eyeliners or even mascaras. The next day I wake up and I am just a puffy red mess. I look like somebody, like I've been crying for hours. I think I have an allergy to those dyes. So I'm just deepening up the crease a little bit there. I just love this palette. I'm really surprised. I have been forcing myself to use more drugstore stuff. I've always been a kind of high-end girl, but you know what? The quality of makeup over the last 10-15 years has gotten so much better. You'd be surprised at what you can find in the drugstore. I will say this though, drugstore prices have increased exponentially. You know, it's like, you know, like $20 for a palette from the drugstore used to be, or like, are you kidding me? That's what you would pay in a department store. Okay. So I blended all that out, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop the lid a little bit with the shade 75 and Sunny, which is this really pretty gold metallic. It's like a dark gold metallic. So for shades like these, I like to just use my fingers. Just press it in like that. And it's just going to brighten up the center of the lid. There is a shade in this palette though that I refuse to use because I tried it. Super pretty. But it's a freaking glitter bomb. I put it on, and the next thing I know, I looked like Studio 54, like all over my face. It's called Detox. So I'm detoxing from detox. It's actually very beautiful. It's this shade. Can't really see it that well, but it's just like so super glittery, and the fallout from it is ridiculous. So I'm going to line with shadow today. One of the things I like to do is just do like a darker one up on top and then kind of do like a smudgy, lighter color on the bottom so the lines aren't as harsh. And the shade I'm going to use for on top is called And Chill, because the shade before it is called Hit Snooze. So that's that dark brown right there. And then underneath, I'm going to use the shade Pampered, which is kind of like a bronzy shade. I am using my NARS angled eyeliner brush. Tap, tap. And as I start in the inner half of the lid and I get really close to that lash line as much as I can. I don't want too thick of a line, so I just really wiggle it in there at the base of the lashes. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you. Eyelash curler, mascara, both going in my brow. And I'll tell you why when I'm done. When I'm ready to use them. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to just keep really putting that in to that lash line as close as I can get. Maybe thickening it out a little bit as I get out to the ends. I'm not really loyal to a brush line overlay. Kind of just use what I like and what's been in my collection for years and years. I have some, like some old Trish McAvoy brushes that I have used since, I don't even know what, so much. So, putting that in. Oh, so anyway, so I was a model and I never liked how they did my makeup at a photo shoot. And I didn't like it that much. I liked how I did it better. So I just started doing my own makeup, and then the other models started asking me to do theirs. We would do some runway shows and stuff like that. And now I'm going to do that pampered shade underneath using my Trish McAvoy smudge brush. It's a precision smudge brush. I like this brush. And then I got a job at Saks selling skincare. And I started hanging around at the makeup counters there. I learned a lot there, and then they started asking me to freelance at some of the makeover events. So I did Laura Mercier, and I did Stila, I did Bobbi Brown, and then I got a job in corporate America and stopped doing that so much. While I was in corporate America, though, I was moderating a website called Beauty Buzz, which was a website in the early 2000s for women who loved makeup, and I was one of the moderators and wrote tons of reviews. And one thing that is important, and I should have done this first, is your brows. Typically I'll do my brows before I do my eye makeup. I forgot. So I had said in my last video that I really liked the Laura Mercier. And then last time I was in Target, I saw this line. And it's all brows. And it's from this woman. I don't know. I have to do some research on this line. But it's called Arches and Halos. Tanya Crooks. She's a professional makeup artist. And I really like this pencil. It is a angled brow shading pencil, and what I really like about it is the tip on it is, as you can see, it's kind of like a triangle, so you can use the flat end if you want to just shade in like that wider part of your brow, and then you can just flip it and be more precise at the ends. I got the Mocha Blonde. It's a shade that I'm using. Not 100% sure it's that great for me, but there's a lighter shade that I thought might be too light, just blonde, so I might go back for that one. $9.99. It's a good one. So I will finish this up, cutting in on those brows. Use that spoolie, soften everything. Super easy and fast. I'm going to do concealer now, and as I tend to do sometimes, I got a little bit of fallout under my eye. So what I do is I just use like a cleansing wipe, if that ever happens, just to kind of clean that up underneath. Okay, it's clean. I'm going to use my Instant Age Rewind concealer that I told you about. The secret to this, I told you about this in my last video, is don't use a ton to start, because you can always add more, But if you add too much, then you got makeup smearing all over your face, and it's not fun. So I just add one real light layer at first and just kind of pounce that in with my finger. I think that's good. Sometimes I need more, sometimes I don't. Just depends how much sleep I've had, how much water I've been drinking, how much caffeine I've been drinking. Okay, so now let's move on to eyelash curler and mascara. So I put these in my bra. It's a tip I learned early on that I think that it helps warm it up. So your curl's gonna hold a little better when you got some warmth going on there. And then for the mascara, I find that when it's warmer, it's a little bit more malleable. The mascara I'm using today is Essence. It's $4.99. It's not Chanel, like I mentioned last time, but it's still really nice mascara. Where is it? Where is it? Out of the bra. So what I really like about this mascara is that right out of the gate, you've got a mascara that's ready to perform for you. You don't have to let it dry out a little bit. Like some of them could be too goopy or too wet right away. I find, but this one is just good from the get-go. Now I have been using Revitalash. It's an eyelash serum. And let me just tell you, it is extremely effective. I've had like fake lashes, I've had, as I mentioned, I've had eyelash extensions. I've actually had to move my usage of this product back to every other or every third night just because my lashes were getting too long, which sounds like a really crazy problem, but that's what was happening. So that's one coat. I'm gonna put on a second just for giggles. And I like to wiggle the brush right at the base just to get that volume there. I'm not going to put a second coat on the bottom, just on the top. Okay. Eyes are done. Just do lips and a quick highlight, and that'll be it. I'm using this highlight from Maybelline. It's called Pearl Crush. It's a True Blend Super Stunner. It's not my favorite highlight, but it was like $3.99 or something. You can see it here. I just find it a little bit chalky. I'm just going to put some right here. You see that? Some right down the middle of my nose. Tip. And then right here. I mean, it's not awful. It's not my favorite. And finally, for lips, this is the Revlon Lip Cushion Lip Tint in the shade Fancy Rose. I love this lipstick. This is, I said earlier that I'm not somebody who replaces color products. I just like to cycle through and use new ones. This one I would replace because it's just so darn easy and the color is so pretty and I love the effect of it. It's almost like a diffused lip color that I can just throw on even when I'm not even looking in the mirror, and I really like it. So it's kind of a very subtle browned out rose. No liner needed. Okay, I love that color. Okay, so then I'm going to just use some spray, set everything, kind of blend it out, put some rose water, take my hair down, Can't wait to get my hair done. And there it is. So, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and maybe you picked up some tips from me. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all next time. Thanks for coming to see me. Please subscribe and hit the bell and you will be notified when I upload new videos. Have a great day.